You know, as soon as I left Silphco in Celebration, I realized the horror that's waiting for me next. Possibly just, the most difficult gym in the whole game. Anyways, welcome back to my FireRed Omega Nuzlocke, and yep, in this episode we will tackle Sabrina's gym, the Psychic Gym. So, this gym has kind of an interesting gimmicks, teleporters. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can get very, very confusing. But there's actually a surefire way of getting through the goal, which is very easy to remember too. So what you have to do is, you have to remember where you come from, and you always have to take just the elevator, teleporter above or below you. So for example here, I came out of this teleporter, so to continue, I would need to take this teleporter. But obviously there's trainers along the way that I want to fight, so let's get to it. And as a kid, I actually knew about this. I knew about the route I had to take, which is very surprising because as a kid I was very bad at games. And I still kind of am, but whatever. But the reason for this is not that I figured it out myself, but instead I followed the strategy guide religiously. And not just in Pokémon, but in all kinds of games really. Like, I had the strategy guide of all the bigger, like, AAA games I owned. For example, like Super Mario 64, Pokémon obviously, Zelda Wind Waker, Final Fantasy X, the list goes on. But yeah, as I said, I would always follow the guide religiously. I would never, ever stray from the path that they told me to take. And yeah, just did exactly what the guide told me to. To the point that it would even kill my enjoyment of the game. And speaking of kill, I have no idea why I stayed in, so let me switch out. Kappa, your turn. And like in games like Super Mario 64, it's not a problem. You can read all about the game you want, but it obviously still takes some semblance of skill to reach the objective, because it's a jump and run. And if you don't master the game, then there's no way you're gonna win. I mean, okay, that's also the reason why I never 100%ed it as a kid, but that's beside the point. But what I mean is, it's not possible to get spoiled by the strategy guide, because, well, it's a jump and run. It doesn't have much of a story. Like, Bowser kidnaps Princess, Mario saves Princess, the end. But in other games, it's different. For example, I played Wind Waker on the GameCube, and yeah, obviously, I followed the route that the strategy guide gave me, without any exploration on my own. But eventually, I got curious of what's ahead of me, so what I did was, when I wasn't playing the game, I just kept on reading the strategy guide. So I read about the story that would happen, I read about the dungeons that I would do, the items that I get, the islands I would explore, and so on and so on. And because of that, I already knew what to expect in the later parts of the game. And due to that, I just stopped playing the game halfway through. Which is really sad, because Wind Waker, I really enjoyed up until that point. It was a really, really well done game. But yeah, the guide just killed my enjoyment for it. And the same thing happened in Dragon Quest VIII, an RPG for the PlayStation 2. Yeah, so same story here. I followed the guide to a T, didn't stray from the path at all, and didn't do any thinking on my own. And the guide, like that guide for Dragon Quest VIII, also had a list of bosses from the end game at like the back of the guide. And what does Magic Coat do? What does Magic Coat do? I actually don't remember that, because you don't see that move very often. I think it just bounces off status effects, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, like Magic Code, Mirror Code kind of blend into each other. But yeah, back to Dragon Quest VIII. So, yeah, as I said, the guide had a list of endgame bosses at like the back of it, in the back pages. And they were sealed. Like there was one of those paper seals you see sometimes, and you had to kind of rip it open to reveal what's in there. And when I started playing the games, I obviously didn't touch it because I wanted to experience the game on my own. Oh, paint split. Well, you're a clever one, aren't you? But yeah. But then again, what did young me do when I played the game? I was like maybe 12, 13. I ripped open the pages after playing the game for like 5 hours. Because I just couldn't wait to see what was waiting for me. The problem is, the writers of the guide weren't lying. Those were pretty big spoilers. So, after reading about those bosses in detail, I gave up on the game. Because I knew what was coming for me. And so there was no point in continuing on playing the game. Because, why would I? I knew what was coming. So, oh my god. I almost selected explosion. I don't even know why. My mind just instinctively went to explosion. Well, that could have ended badly. Now, I don't remember. Chimecho, do you have levitate? Yep, you do have levitate. I mean, it's levitating in its sprite, so I should have expected that, but I didn't, so I'm stupid. Just like little me when I was playing old games and spoiling myself. But yeah, I even did this, like, following guides kind of thing. Wait, heal bell? But you don't have no condition. You don't have any condition. You're fully healed. What's your problem, Chimecho? Yeah, but as I said, I even did this for games that I didn't own a guide for. What I did was, I would print, like, a full guide, 50 pages or so from GameFAQs, and I would always carry those 50 pages around me when I would play the game. Like, let's say my family and I would drive somewhere in a car. I would always take those pages with me while playing the game in the car. And for example, I did this for Fire Emblem, for the GBA. Because in Fire Emblem, when one of your characters dies in a fight, that character stays dead forever. And I hate that. Because if I have a character, I want to use that character, obviously, and I want to use it until the end of the game. But yeah, so because of that, because I didn't feel like losing any kind of character, I just followed the guide, the no-death guide. And before continuing that story, I want to talk about Shedinja. Shedinja is an interesting one. It's a bug ghost type, and it only has 1 HP. So it's really easy to kill, isn't it? No, not really. Because it has the ability Wonder Guard, which makes it so you can only hit it with super effective attacks. One of which is Shadow Ball. Because Ghost is effective against Ghost, for whatever reason. But yeah, if you hit it with anything else, you're not gonna do any damage. And if you're unprepared, this could make your life a living hell. Like, your run could go perfectly, but then you encounter a Shedinja, and that's when you realize, oh wait, I don't have a fire type on my team, or a fire move on my team. I don't have a ghost move on my team. I don't have a flying move on my team. I don't have a dark move on my team. I can't damage this bloody thing. But, to be fair, those types are usually pretty common, and unless you're doing like a mono-type challenge, there's no way you don't have one of those types on your team. So Shedinja usually doesn't prove any kind of danger. But yeah, Shedinja aside, back to my Fire Emblem No Death Guide story. So I would play the game, follow the No Death Guide, and for the most part, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It led me through the game without any casualties. However, the guide wasn't 100% reliable. Like, what the guide was, it would tell you exactly when to, or where to place each unit, what moves, like what attacks to do, who to attack, and stuff like that. Oh, Smoochum. I'm suffering from PTSD right now. Kill it fast. Thank you. But yeah, so I followed the guide, whatever. But then that's when I realized, this stupid guide wasn't 100% reliable because one of my units died. So I was ticked off. I turned off the game and never touched it again. Because I was so mad at this stupid guide that it, again, killed my entire enjoyment of that game. I have no idea why. And then later on, I did pick it up again. I tried to play it through on my own, but I couldn't get through it. I'm not very good at strategy RPGs, and I could never make it through without losing a character. And what I would do is, whenever one of my characters dies in the Fire Emblem game, I would reset immediately, which made playing through those games, incredibly tedious. So that's why I just don't like that game as much as I would, because I'm a fan of strategy RPGs. I'm not good at them, but I like playing them, if that makes sense. But, yeah, that aside, I don't know why, but as a kid, I had just as much fun reading about games than playing them, or as I did playing them. And what I did was, I even brought some game manuals to school, like the Pokémon manuals, the Mario game manuals, stuff like that. And I would read through them over and over again during recess. And I even read them multiple times, and I would never get sick of them for some reason, because I just loved video games as a kid, I guess. I know it's kind of weird, but then again, I was a weird kid. I still am kind of weird. So, yeah, that's that. And in arts class, I even made a DIY guidebook / manual to the first Paper Mario game. Paper Mario was, back in the day, my favorite game of all time. Well, I didn't play that many games at that point, but yeah, it was my favorite game. And yeah, so I created my own manual for that game. And so what I did was, I cut out various pictures of the characters from, like, Hypnosis. Oh, sure. That actually caught me off guard. I didn't expect Draco to learn Hypnosis. That's an excellent move. I do have Poison. I do have Confuse Ray, which is not as reliable, unfortunately, because Confusion only hits 50% of the time. But Hypnosis is really useful, because Draco is really fast, 70% accuracy is not as bad, and being a fast Pokemon that puts my opponents to sleep is very, very good to have. I'll go with it. But yeah, back to my Paper Mario manual. Yeah, so I cut out the pictures from Club Nintendo magazines of, like, Mario, Bowser, the various partners you get, and even from the original manual. Like, nowadays, I kind of regret doing that because I still have the game and the manual, well, whatever's left of the manual, but nowadays, I even have the original box, and it's worth, I think, quite a bit. And nowadays I kind of regret destroying the manual like that, because it really loses its value because of that. But then again, I'm not a fan of selling games anyway. I prefer collecting them and keeping them for whenever I want to pick them up again. So, but yeah, when I did my manual, I folded some papers and I made like little sections. The good guys, the bad guys, your attacks, the world, stuff like that. And I even got a good grade for it. Which is surprising because I really sucked at arts class. I am not creative in the slightest. I can't draw. So, yeah, that kind of made me happy. I guess when I'm passionate about something, I'm good. Like, that's all I have to say. When I'm passionate about something, then I can make it work, I guess. But yeah, and even nowadays, I think that guidebook is still in my parents' house somewhere, in like a box of memorabilia. So, whenever I visit them again, I'll have to take a look, because I want to read through that again and see what kind of stupid stuff I wrote about the game. Probably just generic stuff like, this here be Bowser. Bowser be bad guy. Mario smash bad guy. Mario win. The end. But yeah, I don't know. And even my handwriting at that point, I was probably in 4th or 5th grade. No, 4th grade. I did it in primary school. And my handwriting was so bad. And it even is nowadays. So I kind of want to read through that again and see if I can decipher what I wrote. And okay, this is actually perfect timing because I just finished the story that I wanted to talk about. I'm at the end of my notepad document that I wrote before recording this. And now we're at Sabrina. You know, I always like to have gym leader battles in a separate video. So because of that, I will do the battle in the next episode. And until then, I will save my game, overwrite my old file, not turn off the power because I don't want to fight the trainers again, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.